Many of you are older than me in age and for sure in realization, so I seek your blessings before I begin. So please kindly pray that may right words come at the right time, in the right mood, that is purifying and pleasing for all of us. Because all of us are practicing devotees in one sense. So please offer a prayer that this next 1 hour or 1.5 hours will be beneficial for all of us. Actually, it is mentioned that there are 3 people who get benefited whenever there is a spiritual discussion. So one is the person who is asking the questions. The second is whoever else is listening. But the main benefiter is the person who is speaking, because he has to practice the most, research the most, and understand the most as well. So by practicing for this week, I hope I'll remember whatever I'm going to speak and practice in my own life for the next few weeks at least. Okay, so as usual, we will begin with a recap. And Sundaranand Prabhu was very clear that he wanted all of you to recap. So please kindly help me. Anyone remembers what we discussed last week? Mind. Oh, any pictures or analogies you remember? Chariot. Okay, let's go to the chariot. What do we remember about the chariot? I hope all of you are able to see.
The horses are the senses.
The horses are the 5 senses. Yes. And the horses are very calm and composed, right? No. Very aggressive. Wanting to do their own stuff. Okay, what else do you see in this picture that you recollect? So you see the person who is sitting peacefully at the back is the soul, right? Yes? It's very peaceful, calm, composed. No? Why is he seemed to be in some anxiety. What is happening? Who is the person holding the ropes? Mind or intelligence? Intelligence, yes. So the intelligence is the driver. He is supposed to be the controller of the ropes and the horses. I do see some new faces. I do want to welcome Sudarshan and Rakhi. Thank you very much for joining. This is, I think, the kind of 4th session, but we had to split session 3 into 2 parts because I think we realized that there are a lot more questions and it's better to be interactive short session than uninteractive long session. So we decided to split it. So, and where is the mind in this picture? Reins or the ropes. Very nice. What else do we see? Can we grasp from this picture?
Horses are taking chariot to random places.
Very nice. Horses are taking the chariot to random places.
Intelligence is trying to control those horses, but not places.
Yes. So the intelligence is trying to control the horses, but we can see it's very thin. Looks like malnutrition. So he is unable to control. Okay, that's very nice. What else? Shriyan is disqualified because he was here yesterday also. So, anything else you see from the picture? Yesterday, someone else was mentioning, actually one of the kids, he was mentioning the chariot is like the body. These 5 horses represent the senses, but the whole chariot is like the body. Anything else you see?
The clouds, the lightning, the thunder.
Yeah, we have to figure out what do they represent. Someone else was mentioning yesterday that if this is the only chariot and the entire thing is a road, complete road, no ditches anywhere, even if with uncontrolled senses you're okay. But imagine 1,000 other chariots, like living entities, like human beings. Each of them have uncontrolled senses and each of them bumping into each other. So that's one of the analogy that was given. And one of the reasons we see so much conflict in this world is actually precisely that. Because everybody has their own self-interest, which is to some extent we can say little selfish, and they have uncontrolled senses. The chariots of their bodies and their interests bump into each other. Okay, what else did we discuss apart from the chariot?
The example
The
of
monkey,
car
the
driver.
monkey eating the bun.
Okay, we'll go for the monkey. So the mind is very difficult to understand. So what the spiritual teachers have done is they have given us many analogies through which we can actually understand. So the mind is like a monkey. And we saw a video of the monkey trying to grab many buns. He wasn't peacefully eating even one. Do you remember what does that video represent to you? Can you try to recollect anything? Greed. The monkey was very greedy. So even though it has enough, it still wanted to take more. And what does that represent in us? So the mind has no satisfaction. Even though it has everything that it actually needs for it to be happy, but the mind somehow thinks that no, something else I need. This is a very beautiful story that I recollected. Very nice. So maybe once this story is done, we'll go back and try to answer that question. And maybe all of you have to answer because you were there last week. So there is, usually we have this mentality. People think, if only I had little more, a bit more, maybe a Tesla car, a bigger house, a better wife. I hope my wife is inside. Or a better husband. I won't make you feel bad. Or we usually have some condition. We say, only if I had this, then I will be happy. So there is a very beautiful story. This is one of my favorites that I remember. There was once a man who saw a crow crying. So he went to the crow and he asked, "Hey crow, why are you crying?" He said, I don't know what it's called. The crow makes the sound of "caw, caw," and everybody is throwing stones at me. Nobody likes me. So that's why I'm crying. Look at that swan. It's very beautiful, white. Everybody looks at it as a symbol of peace. I wish I'm like that swan. So the person, very compassionate person, he said, okay, let me take you to the swan and see how we can become a swan. So he took it to a swan. Interestingly, the swan is also crying. So the man said, "Arey, you're very beautiful and pure. Why are you crying?" So the swan said, "I have just one color. Look at that parrot. It has beautiful greenish color with a reddish beak. And the parrot can sing and speak very beautifully. I wish I'm like that parrot." So the man said, "Okay, all right. Chalo, let us all go to the parrot." And they went to the parrot. Surprisingly, even the parrot is also crying. They asked, "What happened? Why are you crying? You have such a lustrous green color. What happened?" So the parrot said, "Look at the peacock. It has the most beautiful rainbow colors and it can dance with beautiful gait. And everybody loves peacock and surrounded by people clapping for it. Everybody is enamored by peacock. Oh, I wish I'm like that peacock." As usual, the man said, "Okay, all right, let us go to the peacock and see how we can all upgrade to that position." So he took them to the peacock, and anticlimax, even the peacock is crying. So the man was bewildered. He said, "You have everything. You have the beauty, you have the dance, you have everybody appreciating you. So why are you crying?" So the peacock said, "I dance very beautifully and my feathers are very beautiful. So everybody wants to capture me. and everybody wants to keep me in their captivity. And every time they come and clap me and throw a biscuit, I have to dance and open up my... Oh, I wish I am like a crow, that nobody bothers me, even though whatever I am doing, I wish nobody bothers me. So this actually is a very good illustration of our own mind. I mean, I'm sure, I can speak for myself. We usually think, oh, if I have this, then I'll be more happy. We usually think if I have more money, then I'll be peaceful. So some other people who are millionaires, actually there is something called happiness curve. It's not actually a going upward line. Happiness on the y-axis, money on the x-axis. Oh no, actually other way around. So people, as they are earning more money, happiness increases, material happiness that is. And at one point it reaches the maximum, and interestingly, after it reaches, it becomes plateau for some time, and then it comes down. As you are earning more money, apparently, you become more miserable, because you cannot trust your friends and family, because you don't know whether they love you or your money. So one interesting story I remembered about the satisfaction of the mind, as Parthi was recollecting. What else does the monkey mind, that analogy, represent? Any of you remember anything else?
It is always restless.
Yes, the monkey is always restless. It's keep on looking. So similarly, what about the mind? It's also restless. Just
with thoughts.
with thoughts. Very beautiful.
The food to the monkey is like my thoughts to the monkey.
Very beautiful. The food, that bread, that some of you who weren't here may not be able to appreciate. We'll share the video, so hopefully you'll appreciate some of this conversation. But yes, so the food, we usually say the food for thought, but in this particular example, the mind is constantly jumping from one thought to another. Okay, what else? So you have a table here, so we don't forget anyone. What about pleasure? The mind is very long-term oriented. It's like, today, even though I'm not very happy, it's all right. Is that what the mind says? No. The mind is like, I want happiness, I want pleasure now. Right? Because of course, naturally, because it is looking for immediate happiness, the mind is distracted by even small things. Small things, small pleasure, no problem. Mind is satisfied. And Sundar Prabhu was mentioning about this term, busy but not productive. Anybody has any experiences? Can you share?
So it's like, it's more of like, when you talk about the productivity, it's more of at the office level. So we will be like from the 8:30 to till night 1 o'clock we'll be in the call. But at the end, if I think what did I do on my task, no productivity. So it's like restless meetings continuously, but no productivity. It's like jumping from here and there constantly. But same thing happens in personal life also. We have lots of things about the future and in the past, about the thoughts and what in case if this would have happened in that way. What in case if this happens in this way in future? What happens for the kids and the education and whatever it is? It's keep on running in the mind, and it is kind of restless, and we don't have a clear thoughts for the day. At end of, we are tired on the mind, and we
So
also
mental
not happy
tiredness.
for the day.
So because, very beautiful actually, that is so true. If we actually reflect in our own lives, what we achieved on a personal level, how did we improve on a family level as a family, or at work, or as society, what is my contribution to society over long periods of time, we will notice actually that it's not as productive as we could be, and certainly not as productive as we want to be, right? Anybody else has this experience, busy but not productive? Shriya also thinks so.
Let's learn about his experience. Interestingly.
Okay, she wants to hear, so you get it.
At school, we play at recess, like at playtime, we wait in lines and we just keep talking. And by the end of the recess, there are big lines. So by the end of our playtime, usually we don't get to get going again. So when I think, oh, what game did I play or what did I do in my recess time? Pretty much nothing. Just wait.
Just waiting. Nice. So what else did we? Mind was compared to few other things. We watched some other very powerful video as well.
Mind is like a child.
Mind is like a child. Oh, actually, this is one of my favorite analogies. Let us go there. What are some of the characteristics of the child that can be compared to mind? Let's explore.
Demands for things.
It demands for things. You see a child, let's say somebody, the parent or an elder sibling taking him to school. I mean, nowadays we don't see anything here, but let's imagine our own school days back in India, small village, town settings. As you're going, so many shops, ice cream and balloons. So the child demands, I want it, very colorful balloon, I want that. Or he sees a chocolate, dairy milk, big. I still remember, the advertisement is very big. When you go by, they give you small one. So you'll be disappointed. Yes, so the mind is very demanding, just like the child.
Easily distracted.
Yes, this is also a very beautiful point. Children have this habit. They are doing school homework. Somebody opens the door, their mind goes up, and then that's it. After half an hour, you have to remind them, where is your homework? So very easily distracted. The mind is also like that. So you're thinking of working very, very focused, and then some email comes, or there's a ping on your phone or WhatsApp, and then immediately you're thinking, well, this is maybe President of United States might be calling you. Yes, what else? What else does the mind have in common to the child?
Mind also thinks for the like immediate pleasure, like the kid whatever they want, sweet or something, so that time they want that only, and that's like mind also.
That is true. Yeah, children. There is this very famous experiment. But anyway, so if you give 1,000 rupees or $1,000 or let's say even $10 to a child or a small cookie or a chocolate, what do you think the child chooses? Cookie. Because they're like, this I get immediate happiness. This they don't even know the value actually. But, so the mind is also like that. So the mind, short-term happiness. Yes. What else? There is another interesting aspect that the child doesn't like. You see, at school we were required to write A. I'm sure each of us probably wrote hundreds of times or maybe even thousands. So children don't like it. Children, as they're writing, they're like, oh God, when will I be done? I already got it. One of the common things we hear from children is, I already know. I memorized the multiplication table, they say. And you ask them, how much is 2 times 3? They're like, So just like children don't like repetitive tasks, mind is also like that. Mind doesn't like repetitive tasks. So the mind naturally wants it gravitates to what is most interesting. So something else is more interesting, same thing, So it's naturally gravitated to more interesting things. Actually, there is a very interesting phenomenon. One of the reasons it's not recommended for children to have a lot of exposure to screen time is the animation movies or the cartoons that we see on YouTube. If you notice, every few seconds there is a change of scene. So the children, they are very much enamored. They're like, wow, something new is happening. Oh, this guy is jumping somewhere. Oh, he's doing something else. So they are very much attracted by this rapid change of scenarios. So when they come to real life, they see the same father, same mother, same homework, same play. So that's why actually this ADHD, almost everybody now has this, I suppose. So we have attention disorder. We can't keep attention on something for too long. So that's why even it is mentioned, even for the spiritual speakers, every few minutes, it's good to crack a joke. So then as soon as you crack a joke and everybody laughs, so somebody wakes up and, hey, what happened? what is the joke? Then the attention comes back. So, I mean, almost, this is a modern phenomenon. Almost all of us, we are somewhat addicted to Facebook, or because there is a constant change of information, and that keeps the mind, oh yes, I want to. So the unfortunate situation is the real life seems a little boring. So especially that's why it's not recommended for children from such a young age to show screen. So okay, so we discussed this. This is actually one of the very interesting phenomenon about children. Let's say imagine a child is going to school, again India setup, with an elder sibling for the first time. So both of them are going. So the elder sister is holding on to the younger brother and she is taking him to the school. Younger brother sees an ice cream shop. I want ice cream, I want ice cream. And he screams. What do you think the elder sister does? She also doesn't know much. She says, alright, I mean, he's screaming, better pacify him. So she takes him and whatever pocket money the mother has given, she'll buy him an ice cream. He eats happily and comes back home, and let's say the child develops some throat infection or cold. And after a few days, the sister is again taking the brother for school. Again he screams, ice cream, ice cream. What do you think the elder sister does now?
She'll not buy the ice cream.
She will not buy the ice cream. Okay, what will the child do then? Scream more. So, yes, she has practical experience.
They'll just like whine.
They'll do what?
Whine.
Whine and scream. Why do you say no ice cream? Ice cream more. So the child screams more. Then what happens? What does the elder sister do?
She'll give up. Finally, they will give up.
So the elder sister will give up and say, I don't know, I cannot manage her. So she'll buy another ice cream. So interestingly, that's some very intelligent young children, what do is, after they go home and let's say they catch cold again or throat infection again, mother asks, what happened? So the child, remembering that my sister did not buy ice cream for 5 minutes, I will tell her. So he says, Mama, I am going to school happily. Sister only. She said, you want ice cream? I said, we need to go to school, no? She said, no, you eat ice cream. So she is the one who bought me ice cream. So the mother asks, you bought the ice cream? The sister is like, oh. So next time he goes with the sister, and if he asks for ice cream, what do you think the sister does?
She'll not.
She'll not buy?
She'll say like, you buy
She
it.
forgot.
Either she'll buy right away or she doesn't buy at all.
Yes. If she is a very strong headed personality, she'll say, I will not buy. Otherwise, she'll say, Papa, this is Khatarnak, let me just pacify him and please him. Then he will not complain on me. So this is exactly what the mind also does, interestingly. So the mind has, if we have a weak intelligence, that's the trick mind does. So it screams, I want Netflix, I want Netflix. No. We have goals, we have office work. The intelligence is telling, no, we will not do that. I hope some of your questions are getting answered with these analogies. We will add more. So the intelligence is saying, no, we have work to do, we have a deadline, and the job situation right now is not so good. So let us at least deliver what we are expected to. The mind will say after a few minutes, say, I told you, you will not be able to solve this bug today. So you worked very hard today, take a break. So you just take a break, maybe go to, I still follow cricket. So I usually give this cricket analogy. Just go to ESPN Cricinfo, just see the scores there and come back. I mean, then you will be refreshed. Then you can peacefully work. You will work much better. So with weak intelligence, we say, all right, yeah, what the mind is saying makes sense. I'm anyway not able to achieve anything in the last half an hour. So I'll just take a break, 2-minute break. So we go. And after 2 hours, we realize we scroll here, we go from here, we jump somewhere else. From there, we jump somewhere else. After 2 hours, we realize, Hare, there is a meeting status update and I haven't achieved anything yet. So, Another analogy is, let's say the child goes out with the mother. My mother, we are comparing here with a strong intelligence. What do you think the mother will do when the child asks for ice cream?
You had sore throat. You want to get.
So the mother will say, Beta, you have sore throat. No, yeah, you cannot. And then what does the child do? My mama is telling, I'll be like Ram, good boy. Does he follow like that? No. What does he do? He still screams. His script is same. His role is still the same. And what does the mother do?
Don't buy.
Don't buy still.
Depends on which country.
Same thing.
He's still in India, so.
If we are still in India, we will not buy.
So mother will not buy. Why? Why does the mother not buy?
Because she knows the aftermath.
She knows that if I buy, he will get cold or throat infection tomorrow. So his mother is fully convinced that if I buy an ice cream, it's for sure not good for him. Even though he'll be happy now and he will listen to me for next half an hour, this is bad. And what else? What if she buys? What else might happen? What if she gives in and says, all right, okay, I'll buy.
You will do the same thing next time.
So the child will say, Mama will say no first time, but if I scream for the ice cream, she will buy. So children, they're very smart. Even this, I think we should, probably some of these sessions we should let children go to their classrooms. So this is what happens with our mind also. So the moment the intelligence gives in, let's say the intelligence has very strong conviction that this is not good for me. So going to Facebook or YouTube or Cricinfo is not good for me. And I know that even though the mind tells me 2 minutes, I know it is 2 hours. I have had enough experiences. So I will not go. And if the intelligence trace very strong, it knows, no, this is not good and I'm very convinced. Then, however much the mind is screaming, jumping up and down, eventually what will the child do? Let's say mother says, no buying the ice cream. The child continues to scream only? 1 hour, 2 hours, he'll continue screaming? No, maybe for a few minutes. And then he'll say, already, yeah, I think my mama, so stubborn, I think, yeah. And then he'll go to school. So tomorrow he sees ice cream. He will ask, naturally. And the mother says no. This time what does he do?
Yes.
Usually he might still scream once. And as soon as the mother says no, he'll say, already, yeah, end of the story. Go to school. Next day. And after a few weeks, what do you think the child will do? He doesn't even bother asking the ice cream. They say, anyway, I know my mother will not do anything that is not good for me.
But still they're talking about it. Amma, I can see that the ice cream is there.
They'll indirectly say, nice ice cream, no? So that's exactly what happens with our mind and intellect also. So as the intelligence is strong, we'll talk about later how to fortify and make the intelligence strong. But as we strengthen our intelligence, what happens is the mind understands that there is no reason to argue with this guy only. Better we just follow along. And after some time, it doesn't even bother about these petty things that we are attracted to. Usually, yesterday one person was giving the analogy of Netflix. After all the children go to bed, she has to entertain her mind with Netflix for some time. She watches for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, the mind says, give me more. And then she has some conflict inside. No, if you sleep late, you will wake up late and everything will be messed up. But somehow she is not able to have a very strong argument inside. So the intellect is not very strong on why waking up early tomorrow is very important. So naturally, she ends up watching for another half an hour or 1 hour. And then she sleeps late, wakes up late. And then she's having headache and she's thinking, everything is late. And she curses her past self, saying, why did I watch Netflix yesterday? So this is one thing we can all take. If you have a very strong intelligence, which we'll talk about how to strengthen the intelligence later, the mind actually eventually becomes a very cooperating agent. Okay. What else is the mind compared to? Last week we watched a video about elephant also. We saw, I think, elephant destroying things. Was a mad elephant going through so many things. Anybody remember?
Yeah, it's got tree trunk.
So what does
It's taking
a mad elephant? I think we watched a video where it was pushing aside autos and bikes. No, we didn't watch.
No.
We tried a class.
We saw a picture of the elephant, the rooting the
Tree. Yeah, that was in the first session. Okay, so I don't have the video here. So imagine elephants do get mad once in a while. Not very regular, recurring thing, but once in a while. But because of their size, they create havoc. So the mind is also compared to a mad elephant. Any thoughts on what the mad elephant does that we can compare to an angry mind?
Does without thinking.
Does without thinking. So it's like the mad elephant just thrashes and breaks things. Similarly, what does the angry mind do?
Say something which you shouldn't tell.
Very beautiful. So let us give a round of applause for our participants. The reason we clap is so that we don't sleep. No, but that's also for encouraging actually. So please elaborate more.
In the angry moment, the mind says something we shouldn't tell at that moment, or we shouldn't tell actually, which hurts people.
So the mind does what we are not supposed to. Sometimes we even make these resolutions. Of course, we usually make resolutions for health reasons, but sometimes we also make resolutions. I will not become angry with them. I'll behave very nicely with my children or spouse or whatever. But unfortunately, our closest ones, they know which button to press. We have some angry button, and they know exactly the sequence of events to trigger. And they're expert at it, and unfortunately, we fail. So yes. So whatever resolutions we took, I'll behave like this. I will not say this. I will speak like this. Okay, what else does the mind, angry mind and mad elephant have in common?
The mad elephant just runs
Louder?
The mad elephant runs around destroying things, and also the mind runs around in thoughts.
Angry mind. That is true actually. The mad elephant runs around, destroys things. Angry mind also does the same. Whenever the mind is very angry, it destroys relationships actually. I mean, it may not destroy completely, but it spoils many of the relationships that we took years to build. So here is a simple comparison that actually seems uncontrollable. The mind also. Anybody experienced anger? Nobody? All sadhus only.
Which means that everyone.
And then, does it seem when you become angry, do you feel that, oh no, Shanti, or what happens? What do you think? What's that?
Like welcome eruptions. You just erupt like so much anger and
You know, sometimes you feel that I am becoming angry, but you seem helpless. It's uncontrollable, it feels like. Okay. I think there is another interesting analogy which we haven't really spoken about. But before that, the mind is also a thought-generating factory. So the mind, it gets inputs from the senses, and you see a gulab jamun, for example. The one thing is, of course, the mind naturally thinks, gulab jamun, I wish they fried it a little more. So thoughts coming like that. It also, based on the input from here, it generates newer thoughts. It's like, I remember last time we went to this place. Oh, that person, she made the best gulab jamun. The flavor was very good. I wish my wife also learns. I'm cracking all these jokes, assuming Shyama is not here. I hope she's not listening. I'm not personally saying that, but so another thing the mind does is not only does it gets inputs from the senses, but previous experiences, previous thoughts, unfulfilled desires. So the mind is like a factory continuously producing thoughts. This thought, next thought. Actually, it is mentioned in a day, the average human being has about 60,000 thoughts. 60,000 thoughts. That comes to be about 2,500 thoughts. 2,500 thoughts in an hour. That's the number of thoughts. Divyaji is agreeing, saying, yeah, that seems right to me.
We are above average.
We're above average. So maybe more or less.
More than that.
No. All of your sadhus have mind in control. So
Excellent.
So one final one, it's actually very, very interesting. Mind is also compared to a bad friend. So the mind, let's see, you see a gulab jamun or some very nice attractive sweets. The mind says, chalo please. So let's imagine you go to a friend and he's offering you sweets. Please take some sweets. My wife cooked some sweets. And you say, no. So I recently went to a doctor and he suggested that I should cut down on sweets because my diabetes, I'm pre-diabetic and all my measurements are on red side. So I should not eat. So the friend says, no. Just one sweet. Don't eat much. Just take one. Otherwise my wife will feel bad. So the mind is also like that. It induces us. Chalo, yeah, resolution. From tomorrow we will follow together. I am with you. But for today, so they made with so much love. Shyam Prabhu is saying, please eat sweets also. So for today we will eat. And then you eat one and then says, eat more and you take few more. And then tomorrow if you get a headache or indigestion or whatever repercussions you have, the mind plays a double role. It says, you are such a fool. You cannot even control your tongue only. So I told you yesterday, one gulab jamun. You ended up eating 20. Anybody has this experience? Only kids are raising. So we'll hear from Gayatri ji what experience she has.
Yeah, every time we make a resolution that we should cut down on sweets or whatever, but the moment you see your favorite sweet in front of you, it's like this time it's always okay.
So this time exception.
This time is always okay is what comes to the mind, and you end up giving up to it.
And then later, what do you have any experience
Later,
of the mind?
Exactly,
scolding?
we feel angry upon ourselves for doing that, and yourself see we are not strong enough to control it. So those afterthoughts always come.
Yes.
And this happens every time.
So anytime, so you were asking earlier, Sudarshan ji, about what's the difference between mind and intellect, mind and intelligence. Can anyone tell me? I mean, I'm sure we discussed many things. Okay, Shriyan is very eager. So what is intelligence? What is the function of intelligence?
Intelligence, it's supposed to it's something that controls our mind. So, but usually, as we discussed, we have weak intelligence. And if we have weak intelligence, then mind takes over. But if we have strong intelligence, then mind can be taken over.
Very nice. Let us give an encouragement. Yes.
I have a slightly different outlook. The mind uses the intelligence, like prior experiences or knowledge, to decide its further decisions. So the mind is using the intelligence, but the intelligence is basically just previous things the mind uses.
It's actually very beautiful. So mind still captures or still holds the memory, is still part of the mind. But intelligence is the one that accesses this memory and says whether this is good for me long term or not. So I remembered as you're speaking, intelligence, sometimes imagine an elder sister and brother going to school. Ultimately, elder sister is also very weak. She also likes, And anyway, this guy will not listen to me. So both of them plan together. Say, from tomorrow onwards, we will tell Mama that bus prices have increased. So we will take more money and every day we will eat ice creams. So that's one of the things with polluted intelligence. So, I mean, all of us have to some level, in some areas we have polluted intelligence, some areas we have good intelligence. That's a very good point. Let us give. So okay, any other thoughts on what is the function of intelligence? What is it supposed to do?
To tell us what's right and what's wrong.
To tell us what is right and what is wrong. Yes, so the intelligence is supposed to tell us, the mind keeps proposing, hey, let's do like this, let's do like this. And sometimes the mind does propose useful things. I mean, for example, before coming here, I'm sure you had a thought, maybe it is time for us to go to the program, and then you look at the clock. The thought is actually coming from the mind. And it's not every thought that the mind proposes is not bad. So it's actually a good thought. I mean, yeah. So, and the intelligence is looking, all right, yeah, maybe it is time, let me check the clock, and then it is time, so we should go. But many a times the mind is proposing useless, destructive, distracting thoughts. I hope that's helpful with respect to intelligence and mind. Okay, now we spoke enough about, one thing I really, one of the things we don't consider much is this problem of the mind is much more deeper than we can understand. The one extreme of mental problems is people committing suicides. When I heard these statistics, the second leading cause of death among young people is suicide. People distress. More than close to 1 million people die every year. So that's about one person every 40 seconds. So after we started, more than 10 people committed suicide. It's a very, very unfortunate situation. And we say, all right, we are not on that extreme. But still, we have depression, all these school shootings that are happening. Ultimately, of course, there are so many external reasons. But if we boil them down, it's the uncontrolled mind and the greed of the people. They don't feel loved and ultimately they end up anyway. So, and the World Health Organization categorically mentions various issues we will not go into. But I'm sure if you just randomly look at, we face most of these issues. We don't consider them to be really related to mind. But again, as I said, overeating, for example. We eat more than what is necessary. We feel lazy, we feel sometimes we don't feel happy, we feel like not doing anything. We feel overwhelmed, we feel decreased of concentration. We are easily agitated. Sometimes it also takes the turn of dulling the mind with intoxication like alcohol or smoking, which everybody knows. Actually, health insurance, as soon as you put your smoking, it takes 10 years of your life. Your insurance premium goes up. So everybody knows. But still, actually people, I still remember this joke. There was once a competition about disadvantages of alcoholism. So the person who got the first prize was the best. He's an addicted alcoholic. So he knows the best. What are all the disadvantages? He has a huge list. So the point I want to impress upon with those two slides is that we have a responsibility on our own to learn to control the mind. And this is a much bigger problem for the next generation, whether we understand it or not. For our children especially, they'll have to live with in a much more sophisticated world. So it's a responsibility for us to learn these tools and practice ourselves, and also teach them to our next generation and society at large. So we discussed a lot about the mind. So here is a very simple acronym that summarizes mind in 4 simple. Mind magnifies problems. So let's say you're at office and you say hi to your boss. and he doesn't respond back and he leaves. The mind immediately takes off. He said, last week, last sprint, I did not deliver what I was supposed to. And I heard that there may be some layoffs coming. Maybe my name is on that list. Maybe that's why the boss doesn't want to talk to me. Maybe that's why he's avoiding me. But I heard the situation is so bad outside. What if I don't get a job immediately? I only have savings for 2-3 months. What if after 4-5 months I don't get a job? Maybe my whole family will be on the road. Every day I see at the signal there is this person, homeless person, anything helps. And then the mind imagines your picture, anything helps. So, of course, maybe the poor guy, the boss is like that because his manager gave him a thrashing or something. There was once a couple, they had so much fight that they went to court. So the judge asked, what is the problem? The husband said, I want my son to do engineering. And the wife said, no, I want my son to do doctor. I want him to become a doctor. The judge said, what is the big deal? You ask your son. They said, there is a problem. The judge asked, what is the problem? The son is not yet born only. The second acronym for the mind, I stands for it imagines pleasure. The mind paints beautiful picture. Only one gulab jamun, but it paints the picture of, there is unimaginable pleasure in this. Just one shot, one little bit. We will not elaborate much on it because we did. And because the mind is constantly lamenting about the past, you should not have done like this, you're a stupid fool, you're fit for nothing. The mind is constantly doing this or lamenting about the future. What will happen? My boss didn't say hi to me. Maybe I'll be on the road. Because we are constantly either living in the past or the future, the mind neglects the opportunities that are in the present. Imagine this, extending the analogy. So the mind, the boss didn't say hi, and you went into a meeting, very important meeting, where there is a senior directors and there is a lot of visibility, and you are an expert in that subject matter, let's say. So it's sitting in that meeting, instead of listening and answering questions or responding and contributing, you're thinking, my God, what will I do if my boss comes and says, you're fired? What will I tell my wife? Maybe I'll lose respect with my children and my in-laws. Anyway, they're not giving much respect to me now, they'll stop calling me only. So instead, let's say you're thinking like this, instead of grabbing the opportunities that are right in front of you. Maybe even though let's say your name is on the list, but because you speak up well, and maybe the management, actually we thought he's a stupid, but he's actually reasonable only. We can keep him. So it neglects the opportunities that are in front of us. And finally, D stands for it denies reality. There is a very beautiful story in Mahabharata. After everything is done, Duryodhan, everybody knows Duryodhan, I'm sure. So he was asked, why did he behave like this? And Duryodhan says that in everything that I did, I don't find a single fault of mine. He says, whatever I did is a tit for tat. They made a mistake. I mean, what do you expect? The mind is also like that. He says, see, you responding to them with an angry tone like that is justified. Who else in the earth will not respond like that? You tell me. That's what the mind says. So you did good only. You should have given more thrashing to that person. So this is what the mind does. It denies the reality. So with a mind which is not very controlled, we will not be able to see the reality properly. Okay, enough of complaints. Okay, this is a very, very important point. So maybe I'll spend 2 minutes on this and then we'll jump to the solution. Because I think we spoke enough of the problem. Everybody's like, okay, yeah, I know my mind is not so good. Please tell me what I should do. But here is one important thought about how the mind gains control over us. Even though we resolve and even though we have read, even though we have personal experience, that okay, this is bad for me, I shouldn't do. So there is a very beautiful verse in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita that says, Dhyayate Vishayan Punsan Sangaste Shopajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Bijayate. So this verse says that Dhyayato, in the beginning the mind is contemplating. Here is an example of ice cream. So as soon as the mind sees the ice cream, the mind says, ice cream. Let me check which flavor it is, which color it is. Or they put a lot of cashews also in it. So the mind is contemplating, thinking about that object. At this point, the mind has no particular attachment. But because it is contemplating, Bhagavad Gita says, as it contemplates more and more, it develops attachment. It says, Sangasteshopajayate. Then attachment develops. It says, I like ice cream. Oh, I like this particular flavor. And then you contemplate more. Last time I ate, it was very, very tasty. And you're thinking about your attachment increases more and more, and then the desire rises. So now you're actually thinking, I wish I have this ice cream. So, and then when somebody says, no, you shouldn't eat this ice cream, immediately there is anger. As soon as the desire is, intelligence says no, or somebody externally says no, there is anger. And then there is bewilderment of memory. We forget why we decided not to eat ice cream in the first place. So the mind keeps banging the intelligence. I want ice cream, I want ice cream. And the intelligence is clueless, saying, why did we resolve not to eat ice cream? I don't remember. Alright, enjoy the ice cream. So that's what happens. Loss of intelligence and back to square one. We end up eating the ice cream and next day, same thing. So it's better we cut down at the contemplation. So the moment you're start thinking about enjoying something, that's a chance for us to cut down on our mind. Okay, so we will proceed. Yes.
Like for the past 1 hour, we kept trashing our mind and expecting our mind to accept it. My mind is saying, it's not your mind. We are good.
We're good.
Sorry, someone else.
Someone said. Yeah, that's actually, mind is a great trickster. Yeah. Actually, the good news is, we cannot treat our mind, we shouldn't treat our mind as a friend always. It is very helpful. Certainly it is very helpful. We need it. As this quote says, we only have one mind. If you have a bad friend, it's very easy to replace. You dump him, no problem. But mind is something we cannot say, alright, replace the mind. We cannot do that. So it is said, we shouldn't look at mind as an eternal friend, nor should we look at the mind as an enemy. There is a lot of fight internally. But it is said we should look at the mind as a patient. So we should understand my mind has, as we were comparing mind to software, so it has a virus and it needs some antivirus. That's how we should have patience with the mind, but we should treat the mind as a patient. So this quote says we can't replace the mind, but we can replace or reposition the mind from one thought, whatever bad thoughts we have, to better thoughts. Okay, enough of the problem. So let's talk about the solution. How to train the mind. It's actually very simple. It's a GIGO principle. Garbage in, garbage out. Why does the mind keep producing these nonsensical thoughts or thoughts that are not very beneficial? Because whatever we put in the mind in the past, it's a mixture of combination. We were seeing earlier, mind is a thought generating factory. It's a mixture of previous thoughts, previous unfulfilled desires, and sense triggers. So garbage in, garbage out. But if we keep putting good in, eventually good will come out. So that's the mantra for us. So what type of books we read, what type of movies we watch, what music we hear, and ultimately what company we keep is what determines how the mind will produce newer and newer thoughts. So we will, for the solution for the mind, we have spiritual ABCD. If we follow A, B, C, D, which we'll speak very briefly, then the mind slowly, may not tomorrow morning if you wake up and you say, mind still, it'll take time, but it's guaranteed to work because it's coming from the creator who created this nature and the mind itself. Shyam has.
I have a question on the Gigo principle. When it says garbage out or good out, does it mean that all good comes out and then there's only garbage, or like it turns into garbage, or
One thing that is guaranteed is if we keep putting garbage, we can expect the only garbage to come out.
when I say garbage to come out, I mean like all garbage comes out and then it's all clean.
So as we keep putting good in, slowly in the beginning, mostly garbage is coming out. Once in a while, good is coming out. And then slowly, less and less garbage will come out from the mind. And more good will come out.
No, I'm saying we put.
So this is a classic example. You'll never be able to understand your children. Yes.
After we put some, okay, that's the good example. If we put good inside, will all good, like when good comes out, after some time all good will come out and then there's going to be no more good left. With good
No. The mind is, it's not like you give 1 rupee and $1 or $1 and $1 comes out. No, the mind is able to remember and recollect, so it can continuously produce thoughts. So as we keep giving good in, eventually at some point, only good thoughts will come. I mean, you'll see people, you'll wonder how peaceful they are, and they're always thinking about doing good to others. They don't seem to have any negative shades in them. And then we wonder how that happened. Yes, Prabhu.
No, you can finish, Prabhu. But I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, that's okay.
The question I had is like, I think I heard it somewhere and I can relate it to very well. Mind always likes misery. So 100 good things have happened, it doesn't matter. But one bad thing just doesn't get out of the mind. So no matter how much good you feel, one bad gets stuck. And I think I probably didn't understand how to solve that.
That is true actually. In general, the mind, usually if you think about it, mind has a function. I mean, usually we say worrying about the future, but we also do need to plan for the future. It's that only problem with the mind is when it overthinks either about the past. We have lessons to learn from the past, certainly. We should do that. And we should worry about the future because we have some planning to do. But the problem with mind is it does over of it. And it specifically gets attracted to misery because the mind doesn't want to give us misery. It wants happiness, it wants pleasure. So as soon as it knows that this is something that can cause misery, it gives all its resources to that. Oh, boss didn't respond? Oh, what will happen if he doesn't? Maybe he's going to lay me off. But that's where we need the help of the intelligence. To say, the whole point of this exercise is so we understand the nature of the mind. The mind is programmed like that ultimately for our benefit only. Yeah, the mind is supposed to avoid miseries that are avoidable, but it takes it to an extreme. So instead of using it, okay, yeah, why did the boss didn't respond? Maybe that's the case. So let me improve and do a better job at my work. That good, but more than that is not good. I hope that's helpful. Any other comments?
Yeah, I have a quick comment. It's just like probably like it's we need to have look into the definition of the mind. How exactly mind created like. So then when you look into that, mind is actually a byproduct of like our past thoughts and past deeds. So it's like the mind, like when you're talking about the friend or enemy concept, I would say that friend is something which is connected to the heart. Mind is created in such a way that if we can be able to connect the mind to the spiritual heart, which we have forgotten that it is our best friend.
It's so true actually. Yeah. The mind, when it is controlled and it is peaceful, it's our best friend. Actually, Krishna says in...
When mind becomes busy, then he'll become enemy. So the connection between the mind and the heart, which is spiritually is talking about, so that's like that the connection we have forgotten that. So when it connects to the heart, it becomes extremely peaceful. But because we cannot, how much try, whatever we do, even if you try to connect, try to control with our intellect, you won't be able to control it. Because mind is so strong, it keep on trying to...
That is so true. Actually, one of the things, the ABCDs, one is strengthening the intelligence, but the other thing is, unless the soul experiences a higher taste, there is a very beautiful verse in the second chapter again, 59th I think. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavajjam rasopyasya parandrishva nivartate. So this verse says, unless we experience a higher taste, we cannot give up the lower taste, how much ever you try. So the whole point about this ABCD that we'll talk about is to give this higher, deeper spiritual taste to the soul, give the strengthen the intelligence, so that it's not that okay, we first strengthen the intelligence, then we will go to the soul, and no, it's an ongoing. So you give little spiritual pleasure to the soul, strengthen the intelligence little more, the mind becomes little more peaceful, and then we keep doing this daily over maybe a year or 2 years. You will realize, if you have a habit of writing journals or diary, you will appreciate, 2 years ago my mind was so disturbing, these are the thoughts I had. So as a personality I improved, you will notice very clearly. Thank you for that thought, Prabhu. Okay, so we are on the last leg of the time, so we will go to the solution. So the A stands for association. So we should have the association of right-minded people, like-minded people, but right-minded people also. So people that whatever qualities we aspire to learn, that's the people we should associate with. Any examples on when we associate with anybody for that matter? What happens? Let's say we go out and hang out with someone. What happens? We get knowledge. That's one thing. That's right.
We also get negatively influenced if the person is negative.
So the people that we are hanging out with have negativity, then we also get that negativity inside us. Yes, Shruti.
I think even with like certain personality traits and the way you maybe you make a joke or the way you talk, sometimes people are like, oh, you talk just like your friend, or you have the same joke sort of like wavelength just like her. You're just the same copy, something like that.
So if we live long enough with someone, we unknowingly copy many of those bodily traits or jokes. Yeah, that's so true. What else do we get from association? This section seems a little silent. We'll get few comments from here.
They can either inspire or influence the way you do.
It can actually inspire us. That's so true actually. You go, you feel a little dull, and then so you're thinking, I'm not able to do this, I can't do this. And then you go hang out with someone, they're inspired, and you're just sitting with them and you're thinking, I'm also in the same boat as him, same age, same office, similar situation, he's inspired, I should also be inspired. So yes, that's so true actually. What else do we get from association?
Influenced by them.
We get influenced by them, that's right. I'm looking for a specific word.
We develop similar habits.
We develop similar habits. That is true. Because we see how they are very regulated in their habits, in their lifestyle, and we feel, I also want to be like them. And you keep associating with them for long enough, then you will understand the secrets. As he was mentioning, the knowledge is transferred, and then we will also be able to follow similar habits.
We also try to follow the characteristics. They see the success in life, so why not we adopt that character and myself also see some success.
So even though it's little difficult and challenging initially, we will slowly strive to develop a similar character to what they have. Yes?
Speaking of characteristics, you can also develop similar behaviors. Like if you're around people who are angry very often, maybe you might feel angrier towards things easier than other people.
That is so true actually. Have you ever noticed you're peaceful and calm, and then you go, the other person is angry. What do you think your default mode will be? You'll be like, ha ha ha. You're like, huh? So your default mode will be to reflect. Same thing happens with, let's say, you are morose, You're thinking, oh, I didn't finish, Friday has already come, weekend is already going, oh God, Monday is already coming. And then you go and meet people, and then everybody is laughing and happy. What will happen to us?
Change of mood.
We'll become happy as well, right? There is one more interesting thing. Transfer of something else happens.
Like when we meet people, right? So something is running in our mind, and they will share their experience, like their situation, and our mind will thinks that if they are in, if their experience or their issue is more, and our mind feels that okay, I'm in a
better position.
Better position than.
Yes.
So like, you know how you said that like you can get influenced by someone, like you behave the same as them, or like get inspired by them, but like couldn't it also be the other way, like they get inspired by you, or like you influence them? Like,
actually, we have a greater social responsibility. Sometimes I still remember, this is my personal experience. So I got introduced to ISKCON almost 20 years ago, but I got the basic philosophical understanding. I became vegetarian and it's good, but I wasn't very strictly following all the things that they usually follow. But when we had the birth of our first son, Shyam, about 10 years ago, so that's when I thought, this guy will definitely look at me and follow me. I felt a greater sense of responsibility to align my life. I gave up whatever was not very conducive, and so that's so true actually. So we have a greater social responsibility to better ourselves, and that gives a very good inspiration for us. Even though I'm not able to do, no, I should do it for at least for the benefit of others. That's so true. Any other comments? Okay, Shyam.
It is not exactly related, but as you were talking about, like, we should do it for the benefit of others.
Louder?
You were talking about we should, even if we don't want to do something, we do it for the benefit of others. So, I think
He gave us a practical demonstration of the mind. So sometimes you think, and you're wondering, why did I come here? I paid him so he can do this demonstration. Alright, so the association of like-minded people, especially spiritual personalities, it is mentioned, if you want to learn how to drink alcohol, you don't have to go to YouTube and learn. Just go to a bar, hang out with few others who are drinking, you'll become expert in few weeks. So same thing actually. Spirituality is not such a very difficult thing to do. Many times we think, oh, it requires a lot of discipline, controlling this, controlling that. No, nothing. If there is one thing that you can remember, only one word from this whole discussion, let it be this word, association. Actually, the single most important thing in your spiritual journey is association. Even when you don't feel like, oh, today, I have so much work, I am so lazy, I have so many other responsibilities, whatever may be the case, the mind will propose many things. Just tell your mind one thing, that if I can somehow or the other take the association of like-minded people, you will notice, you come and invest your 1 hour, you will notice that you feel just coming and sitting and hearing. It could be a class like this, or it could also be just going and taking darshan in a temple, or talking to another spiritually minded person. You feel inspired. That 1 hour will save you so much more time later on. You become energized, as you're saying, inspired. So you'll not be a couch potato anymore. So you'll be able to be productive actually. So B stands for books, spiritual books. It is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita introduction. Actually, we got few Bhagavad Gitas from the temple. We will have them in the garage. You are most welcome to pick a copy. These are on donation basis. Whatever donation you give, it goes to temple. So you are most welcome to take a copy of Bhagavad Gita for yourself. There is a very beautiful verse in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. that says, Mana nirmochanam pumsam jalasnanam dine dine sakrit gitamrita snanam samsara mana nashanam. It says, if you want to cleanse the body, you should take jalasnanam dine dine. You should bathe with the water every day. But if you want to get rid of the dirty material desires, selfish things that inflict pain onto others, if you want to get rid of those desires from you, we should do bathing with the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, not physical bathing, but through studying Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned. So, the very, very beautiful set of verses that describe the benefits of having regular spiritual reading. At home, if you have the habit, maybe in the morning after you take bath, you just, every day is a busy day. I think that we can all take. Every day is a busy day, and almost even when you become 60 years old, I guarantee you, you will not have time. If you don't make time now, the mind will tell you the same exact thing. You have many more important things to do then also. So there is a very beautiful story of one person was told to cut a tree. Stories means everybody now back to. So he got a saw and he started cutting the tree. Rum, and he's cutting. So another person came by and he said, "Sir, what are you doing?" He said, "I'm cutting a tree. But this saw is it's not very sharp. Why don't you sharpen the saw?" The person who is cutting the tree said, "The job is to cut the tree, not to sharpen the saw." What do you think sharpening the saw achieves? Is it a good idea? Why is it a good idea? We'll ask the children. Yes.
It over time lowers the amount of time you would actually take
To
cut the tree.
To cut the tree. Even though you put aside 10-15 minutes to sharpen the saw, instead of taking 2-3 hours to cut the tree, it will probably be done in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it helps in long term.
In long term, it helps. In the short term, does it look like? Yeah, no, it doesn't look like that. Many people may look at you and say, "Arey, what is this? The job is to cut the tree. Is he a fool to sharpen the saw?" So that's exactly what we can all do. Actually, spirituality, unfortunately, is not the mainstream thing. So if you are chanting or going to temple or reading Bhagavad Gita, many people will say, "Huh? Pagal hai kya?" But in the long term, why long term? Even on a day-to-day basis. Actually, if you spend a few minutes every day on your spiritual, enriching your own self, the soul, the mind, the intellect, within the day itself, let's say even though you spend 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or even 5 minutes on your own spiritual growth, you will notice that particular day you were able to achieve more. Your mind was much more cooperative. So everything goes according to plan, and then you are able to achieve more. So we encourage everyone, even if it's one verse, it's very important to get into that habit. And over time, you will see the verse that you read today, or it'll go a long way. You'll really, really appreciate this habit of reading Bhagavad Gita or spiritual books in general. And C is for chanting. We all are familiar with the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There are many mantras. Mantra, as I think we have already discussed this. Man means the mind. Tra means something that delivers, something that pacifies the mind. So there are many mantras, but of course the Shastras recommend this Hare Krishna Mahamantra specifically because there was an analogy that was given. The word water and the thing water, they are different. Meaning, let's say I am thirsty. I keep singing water, 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 water. Water is not going to come. I am not going to feel the thirst going away. But on a spiritual level, the name Krishna is same as the personality Krishna. Even though we may not be able to understand how that is, but the soul will feel that connection. So when we are chanting, what we are recommended to do is just hear the Maha Mantra. When we are chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are just supposed to focus on hearing the Maha Mantra. Because eventually, all our senses, the mind gets purified with this process. And another interesting point that was mentioned is because we have in Kali Yuga, oh yeah, this is also one very important. There is a scientific research also about meditation in general. There is something called hyperactive zone, where the mind is constantly running around proposing so many ideas. And then there is the sleepy, drowsy zone, where we don't want to do anything. Just sit and watch some Netflix maybe. So there is something called the alpha zone. There is a lot more research that's being done. I'm sure when you go back, you can see people who regularly meditate. They are able to measure these gamma rays, and people who have more of these waves, they are known to be more calmer. They are less anxious. They are more creative. So by chanting, even materially speaking, we will have a lot more benefits, and you will have experience on your own. Somebody doesn't have to, just like when you eat, you feel full. Nobody has to come and, Anirudhji, I certify you that you are full now. So because we know it, we feel it like that. So you can see it for yourself. So we'll take just 5 minutes. We'll switch off the lights and we will chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because we want everybody to have this experience. So the mind will wander. The mind will go here and here. But as soon as you recognize the mind has gone somewhere, just bring it back to hearing. Very gently, lovingly. We don't scold the mind, because we identify ourselves with the mind, so we feel bad. So we just gently bring it back and continue to hear the Maha Mantra. So we'll do it synchronous. So we'll do it for maybe 4 minutes. So Ramesh, my brother, will be our watchkeeper. Maybe we can switch off this light also. Thank you. So that light is enough, I suppose. Nobody will steal your wallets, so peacefully chant. So we will start. We will do it together. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. I want to take a few reflections of how did the last 4 minutes feel. What are your thoughts? What are some of your experiences? What did you feel inside? We'll start with kids and maybe college students, and then we'll go up. We will not reveal your age, so.
I felt
Okay, go ahead.
I felt much more calm.
Much more calm. Very nice.
Even if you get distracted, it's hard to get distracted while you're chatting in a group like this, because once you get distracted, there are other people to remind you because they are chanting. So then you get, oh yeah, I have to do what they do.
Yeah, so even though we are distracted, the mind is distracted, then you hear the sounds and then you're able to bring back. That's why one of the reasons association is very helpful is even though you may not have full control of your own self, there are others to help you. Very nice. Any thoughts from you?
It was refreshing.
It was refreshing.
Very unifying.
You felt, actually it is mentioned that, again, these are difficult from an intellectual point of view to understand, but as we go along, we will get much more explanation. But we have, in our body, we have something called our soul, but there is also a super soul. Super soul is, of course, an expansion of the Supreme. So when we are meditating, it is like as if we are in contact with the Supreme powerhouse. So that's how we feel regenerated, energized, back to, the soul by its normal nature is Satchidananda. It is eternally blissful. Soul is actually always blissful. but somehow we forgot that nature. So that's why. So yeah, it feels unifying. It feels, okay, everything is all right. Okay, yes.
The loss of senses made it so that it was easier to focus on just your voice. You're just focusing on one thing. So you don't have, the simplicity makes it so that you don't have many things for your mind to think about.
What a beautiful, let's give, these are not ordinary children. We are blessed with very special souls that we should spend a good amount of energy preserving their nature and uplifting them if possible. So that's such a beautiful point. One of the things it's recommended is when we are chanting, there are 3 P's. So first P is posture. So we sit straight. It actually helps us focus our mind. The second P is pronunciation. We pronounce every syllable very clearly. And the third thing is prayer. In a prayerful mood, we say, "Oh Supreme, oh Lord, I am not able to control my mind always. It tricks me sometimes, maybe all the time, most of the times, but sometimes at least. So please, I want to become a better version of myself. I want to help myself, I want to help my family, I want to help the society at large. So please help me become a better version." So with that prayerful mood, we chant. And so one of the things that's helpful is closing our eyes, sitting, having a nice space. We can all set up a nice space, sacred space at our home, where we can sit free from all distractions. Usually in the morning, I keep my phone in some other room only. Usually mind says, hey, remember we are supposed to do that. And you go get the phone to do that one thing, that's it, dead. Next half an hour you're on phone only. So it's actually very important to make it distraction free. Even whatever 5-10 minutes that we chant, if we can make it focus, that's very helpful. Okay.
You feel really relaxed because the lights are off, so it's kind of hard to think about anything else and everybody's cracking up.
Yeah, that is so true. Don't do it at night because then you'll go to sleep. So better do it in the morning where you have had enough rest, and then that's why it's actually recommended. Brahma Muhurta is where the time where we're supposed to chant. But of course, our habits are not very conducive for it. We can, whenever we wake up, we can brush, take bath if possible, and then chant for a few minutes. Sit in a nice place and peacefully chant for some time, and then start your day. Yes.
So usually when I try to meditate and someone says, the instructor says, your mind should be thoughtless, so the opposite happens. All of the thoughts will come in that time only. But while I am chanting, my mind was thoughtless. So no other thought was coming other
So
than...
beautiful, yeah. Actually, eventually we will see how the mind, even you are being disturbed by, let's say, somebody comes and scolds you or calls you mean or calls you ill names, eventually, right now of course, we are very much agitated inside. Oh, I wish I have a cricket bat or something else to hit them. But then eventually, because of this process, even in these difficult times, we will remain peaceful. And we will sometimes, of course, the perfection is we are able to remember the chanting then also. Constantly background going on, it's okay. Okay, we'll take, I'll take from you later. Any thoughts from here? You're sitting closer to altar, so you should have more realizations.
So it felt thoughtless and it's kind of completely fresh.
Fresh. You feel energized, right? Even though it's just 4-minute break, you feel, as soon as we open up our eyes, it feels, okay, the world has come to standstill and something good. Okay, we'll take one from this side. What's your name?
Shyam.
Shashank, yes.
Yeah, it's relaxing and you forget everything and you just stay in that world.
We'll take something.
Some trance state kind of.
It's very, it feels alien at the beginning. We're not usually, we're always just constantly running around planning. But when we slow down and it's very different. We'll take from the last benches. Sridhar garu, you have any thoughts, any comments?
Yeah, I mean, what I felt was if you do it for some time, the beginning few minutes, it keeps wandering. And then slowly, and that's why I think the 5 or 10 minute concept comes in. The first few minutes, it keeps wandering around. And slowly it starts settling down. And the last few minutes is when you start seeing calmness in your mind.
Beautiful comment. This is, we were discussing earlier about mother and child. In the beginning, child, no, I want it. The mind is constantly grabbing our attention. Like, think about it. And then we are bringing it back with loving neglect. So then eventually the mind is like, anyway, so yeah, it looks like I might as well be absorbed. Looks like it may be beneficial. And then slowly we see the mind is also completely absorbed. So that's a very beautiful point. So we have one more, A, B, C, D, as we promised. D stands for diet. We will speak a lot more about this in the next session. Food is what we call as in 3 modes, Sattvagun, Rajogun and Tamogun. We will speak a lot more about it. Food in Sattvic mode, Jaise an, Vaise man. We are what we eat. So we eat food that is very passionate in nature. We will become very passionate. We eat food that is tamasic, very dull. We will describe all those qualities next session. We also become like that, dull and lazy and morose, and see the whole world seems like, oh God. But when we eat sattvic food, it is mentioned, I'm not sure whether you're able to see it, it increases the duration of life, purifies one's existence, gives strength, health, happiness and satisfaction. So the foods are also in that category. So sattvic food, vegetarian. Of course, as devotees, we are not really vegetarian. We are Krishnatarian. So we take vegetarian food because even vegetarian, plant, sometimes even that has life. That also has karma associated with it. So we want to have karma-free diet as much as possible. We don't want to give unnecessary pain to any living entity. But still, it is mentioned, Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. So we have to depend on something else. So for us human beings, it's we will again speak at length about this. Vegetarianism is what is recommended, but we cook with love, with attention, with care. Food carries consciousness. So you eat food that's cooked by someone who is peaceful, loving, you feel that. That's why mother's food is so nourishing, so tasty, we yearn for it. So that's the other recommended thing. So A stands for? Association. So even though the mind may distract us, we should always make it a priority. In my own, I'm also a struggling devotee, trying to become a better version of myself, but I always make this a priority. I say, job, situation, family, however it may be. So we always prioritize. Association is not optional. So many times we think, today no time, maybe we skip. No, actually you will realize, I'm sure you all have practical experience where the days where you say, today I have a lot of work, I better stay home and work. And at 10 o'clock you will realize, I made no progress. And then B stands for? Books. Books. Reading spiritual books regularly. It strengthens our intelligence. The intelligence is able to have a stronger argument with the mind. The mind is not able to defeat so easily. So the intelligence eventually wins. May fight, it will go through various stages, but it will eventually win. So we have to keep strengthening the intelligence. And C stands for? Chanting. Chanting. So we should have. And D stands for? Diet. And just to encourage all of us, there's a very beautiful saying, page by page, be a sage. Before you age, escape this cage. We were, in earlier sessions, we were seeing the picture of a cage with a bird inside. We were decorating, that lady was decorating or cleaning the cage without worrying about the bird inside. So we all want to be free in one sense. So page by page, we are not expecting any overnight superstars. So here is a very beautiful video. If you want to feel inspired and peaceful, what should we do with these ABCDs also? It feels overwhelming. Oh, how can I make some of these changes, I don't have any time. How can I make any of these changes? So there's a very simple, the person on the right here, his name is Vaishishika Maharaj. He has been practicing for more than 50 years. He lives very close to Mountain View. So if you come to the ISKCON temple in Mountain View, you'll see him. Very amazing personality. You can understand how there is happiness in spirituality by looking at people like them. So sometimes when we are confused, we say, oh yeah, so what Bhagavad Gita is saying is true. So it's a very short, I think, maybe 30-second or 1 minute video, we'll see. We can't hear.
Don't you hate being ruled by bad habits? Bad habits are like bad masters, always telling us what to do and telling us the wrong thing. Ruled by bad habits. Don't you hate being ruled by bad habits? Bad habits are like bad masters, always telling us what to do and telling us the wrong thing. It doesn't have to be this way. Decide what you want and write it down. As soon as you write it down, your mind will start working towards your goals. You get to prioritize, and nobody's going to fly in from another country and tell you exactly what to do. You have to decide. Use your intelligence, and when you're in your right mind, write it down, get it ordered, and as soon as it's on paper, you can start doing something about changing your life and moving in a positive direction. That is the mantra of winners, and that is your prerogative as a human being. Use your free will and move in the right direction. Decide what you want and write it down.
Yes. Of course. So one thing we encourage all of you to do by next week, if possible, we can all make some resolutions, for these ABCD. We begin small. So whatever you think association-wise, if you're able to come here every week to begin with, I think that's great. Book reading, if you can maybe start small, maybe one verse every day, one paragraph, or maybe even one sentence also. If you can get into that habit, that will be very beneficial. And chanting also. You'll notice when you come back next week, we'll see a halo behind you. No, I mean, we're not expecting magical things like that. Actually, the real change is in the heart. If somebody is able to magically produce some ashes here, that's of no use for us really. It doesn't make us a better person. Real magic is when our hearts change, when we become a better version and we're able to contribute to the society, then that's a much better result. So, we will...
About changing your life.
I don't know why it's not going to the next one. Okay, so please help me summarize what we discussed today. We discussed few analogies. Yes, we'll be very, very quick. So within 2 minutes we should be done. So
mind is what your body wants to do, intelligence is what controls it.
Mind, actually you can say desires and thoughts, and intelligence is supposed to control it. That's right. We spoke about few analogies. Yes, please just give. Children, the mind was compared to child.
Mine was compared to like a monkey.
A monkey. What other analogies? Mad elephant. What else? The thought generating factory. We didn't speak, but we all last week we spoke about the mind is a switch. It has, I like this, I don't like this. Unfortunately, when the mind says I don't like this, I skipped the slide because lack of time. So we shouldn't associate ourselves with our mind all the time. We should evaluate it first. Is this really useful for me. Sometimes the mind says based on past experience, no, I don't like this person. Last time he minimized me or something. So we should evaluate before we say, yes, I am with you, mind. So, okay. We didn't speak about the sales. Mad elephant, we did. Bad friend. Remember? I was able to instantly connect with this. I could feel, array, good analogy. The child. Then we spoke about some mental health issues, mental stress and health issues. Especially in America, we don't need money and food. I mean, there's still people who don't have access to that, but in the 21st, 22nd century as we go along, the problem is not going to be of food and lack of resources. It's actually the problem is going to be the abundance of it. Too much Facebook, too much Twitter, too much of everything. So ultimately we need to learn to control the mind. We also discussed about how we fail to control the mind. We spoke about contemplation and how that spiral get attached, the desire develops, and then eventually back to square one. And then we discussed about solution. I hope this at least you remember. What are the 4 things? A, B, C, D. Somebody asked you outside, what did you learn today? A, B, C, D. A stands for? Association. B? Books. C? Chanting. And D? Diet. You all have won the diet dinner today. And then next week we have a session about good for you. Sundaranand Prabhu will be back. Some of you joined a little late. The reason I am taking the session today is Sundaranand Prabhu is in Mexico right now. He is attending another spiritual program, so he couldn't be here. So, but fortunately for all of us, he'll be back next week. So you don't have to see my torturous face and hear from me. But so next week we will cover these topics. So some of these questions, why do I feel lazy sometimes? And why can't I achieve? Sometimes you have this feeling, I can't even lift my hand. Sometimes any of you have this feeling or just me? Okay, some of you are agreeing to me. Why does that happen? Or yesterday in the morning or night, sometimes you decide, no, I'm going to do this today. And then why I feel inspired sometimes and other times not so. And why are the people the way they are? Sometimes we see twins born, raised in the same environment, ends up being different. I mean, the souls are different, we understand that, but how the mentalities, how are they different? We will understand a little more. And different people find happiness in different things. Sometimes, some people say, smoking gives me joy, happiness. What's so wrong in doing it? So we will speak a lot more about happiness in different modes. People in Sattva Gun, mode of goodness, what type of things they look for happiness in. People in Rajogun, passionate people, what do they look for happiness in? And Tamasic people are Tamogun, what do they look for happiness in? And foods in various categories. Charities, people in Sattvagun, what type of charities do they give? People in Rajogun, what type of charity? Tamogun people, what do they do? So we will have a lot more discussion. I think next week we'll also talk about the transmigration of the soul. How from one body to the other, how do we get carried? And I think earlier there was, the mind is not what we have experienced in this lifetime itself. Whatever we experienced in previous lifetimes also comes with us, unfortunately. So why is that and why we don't remember all that stuff? So we will speak a lot more about that. So thank you very much for your attention. Please forgive me if I spoke something that's not very beneficial, something that hurtful. It's my duty to present whatever I learned to the best of my ability. So any good you see, you should know that to be the mercy of my spiritual teachers. So thank you very much for your attention. Hare Krishna. I also have double role today, so I have to make announcements as well. So as I mentioned, please do think about some goals you can have for next week. Because these sessions, good to get knowledge, but again, knowledge is useless if it doesn't bring in any change in us. So it's beneficial if it can be used. So that's why there is Jnana and Vijnana. So knowledge and realized knowledge. So we want wisdom. We want to realize. Even one sentence we realize is better than 100 pages of unrealized knowledge. So please do that. And next coming Friday is Radhastami. So starting next week, we are actually combining the Friday batch to the Saturday batch. So we will have the sessions on Saturdays moving forward, Saturday evenings. Initially when we started, Sundaranand Prabhu was doing at his home, he has a program where people also, he was giving sessions like this at his home. So, but I begged, borrowed and stole him. And I said, please come give sessions here. And while he was here giving sessions, at his home people were coming and they were attending sessions there and somebody else was taking class. So he was very kind to give his time to all of us. But eventually at some point we have to, and then also even for us, we also have Monday to Friday jobs, both myself and my wife with 2 children. So we also knew it's not sustainable. So we thought time is right for us to combine. So next Friday is Radhastami, the appearance of Srimati Radharani. It is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare actually refers to the energy of the Lord. So it's Srimati Radharani. Just as father is sometimes strict, but mother is little more forgiving, little more loving. So similarly, Srimati Radharani is more loving in that sense. So devotees, we celebrate Radhastami with more joy, more happiness. So I want to invite all of you to the ISKCON temple in Mountain View. If you have time next Friday evening, so I'll share more information in the group, but please do join. I do want to extend that invitation. And then we also have Ganesh Chaturthi coming up in the next couple of days. Kids did some interesting arts and crafts that they did. You get to take home. But Ganesh Ji is also a pure devotee of the Supreme. There is a very beautiful description in the Brahma Samhita. But we can all pray to him on this occasion that please remove any obstacles that there may be in our path, in our spiritual journey. So we can pray to him and he'll be more than happy. So he'll be more happy to give us the facility than, yeah. And finally, I want to thank the cooks for today who made